What is the laziest attempt at being helpful you have ever seen? It probably wasn't the laziest, but definitely the least helpful. Coming home from a baseball game, an older gentleman was crossing the road in front of our car. He looked up in surprise, noticing he was blocking our path. He broke into a jog to get out of the way, but I'm assuming because of his age, he actually moved slower jogging than he was when walking. Right idea, but amusingly unhelpful. Okay, but that's adorable. I started choking on my water and my grandma handed me a tissue. We're all in this together. Some of us just dip our toes in though. The third person helping you lift something heavy? What if it's a really big triangle? The n+1th person that is helping you carry a heavy object with n vertices. Edit. Thank you for my first ever gold. The fourth person helping you lift something heavy? K as a reply to any suggestion. Also, when I tell my Pomeranian to jump into the bed and he refuses, so I pick him up to put him in the bed, and he helps by jumping the tiniest amount as I lift. Hi monsieur. My tiny dog does a little hop like that too. I think she genuinely thinks she's helping though. Sometimes I'll pretend to reach for the open door button on the elevator when I have no intention of letting the person in. You could also keep pushing the close door button while shrugging your shoulders and saying, "It's not working." Myself saying she's bringing a cheesecake to the party, then showing up 2 hours late with all the ingredients to make it, and asking if I can make it because she needs a smoke. Is this the story behind your username? Lol, I used to have a different account but completely deleted it out of some sort of impulse. I decided on a simpler, shallower name for this new account. When that one kid purposely chooses to do the smallest, easiest part of a group project. Bro, I did the title slide. I got started and built a skeleton for the presentation. You can just fill in the gaps. Title slide. Section 1 title slide. Section 2 title slide. Questions? Quote, for my senior project. At the beginning of the first semester, the project coordinator gave us templates to use for the presentation, which was basically this but with the university's branding. One team presented it as is with no changes other than their names being on it, and then apparently assumed they wrote it themselves and in a rambling way tried to relate the questions, really just placeholders, it posed to their project, even though most weren't even applicable because it listed alternate topics depending on what sort of project you did. Research versus product, agile versus Kanban versus waterfall, mobile app versus website versus desktop app. It was embarrassing. Remarkably, that wasn't the dumbest thing they did. The dumbest thing they did was, in a meeting with the department chair and their advisor, saying they took a couple weeks off because they didn't feel like working on it. They ended up turning in a 14-page paper, of which 4 pages were diagrams. 1 page was the title, and half a page was their improperly formatted citations. For a 4-person project, for a year of work, they did not graduate. Well, for 4 people to be that clueless, that sucks. You'd think at least one of them would have been on the ball. Changing their profile pic. I remember when it first happened for France and I was like, that's actually a pretty powerful message, and then the second thing I was like, oh, this had better not become a thing. And here we are. When my sister nearly died drowning, I told her to stop making a scene. I'm aware that was stupid now though, lol. Posting something on your story to spread awareness. I feel like it's appropriate sometimes BC if enough people post about something that isn't receiving enough attention. Well, it might actually spread awareness. Except OBV the people who think they're saints while sharing something. I remember in 2007 or so, some of my lady friends on Facebook and MySpace were posting the color of their bras. When I asked about it, they said, to raise awareness for breast cancer. Quote, I thought about it for a second and said, don't people already know what breast cancer is? October is Awareness Month and I see Susan B. Komen crap everywhere. So, you're not raising awareness. You're just posting your bra color for attention. I'm all for raising awareness, but if you're vague about it, you're not raising awareness for shit. Recording yourself singing a line from Imagine by John Lennon from your multi-million-dollar mansion. In Norway, we have an expression of giving someone a bear service. Tjeneste, which is the act of doing something helpful towards someone but you fuck it up. It stems from a French story about a bear and a dude who are friends. The dude was having a siesta under a tree when a fly sat on his face. The bear, being his helpful good bear self, picked up a stone to kill the fly. He ended up smashing the dude's face in. Thus, a bear service. And that doesn't answer the question at all, but oh well. I enjoyed the anecdote. I like how he explained a Norwegian expression with a French story in English, except for the Spanish nap. I drank beers and stood on boards to hold them steady while my BF cut them to length. That is genuinely helpful. Don't knock it. The worst is when you get someone to help you with something like this and they think you are just trying to involve them and they aren't really doing anything. Then after the 8th time you are, for fuck's sake, it isn't hard, just hold it fucking steady, all the while they are telling you some shitty story while looking off into the distance, and you can't concentrate on their shitty story because with one hand you are trying to cut a moving board and with the second hand you are trying to hold the plank steady that is moving from the saw, and the varying degrees of support off the person holding the other end of the board. You missed a spot, or teachers just telling you what you did wrong and not helping you correct it. Or when you don't understand something the teacher said, so instead of explaining, they just repeat the exact same thing they said before, but slower. I had a really smart math teacher one year. The only problem was I couldn't follow him for the life of me, so I kept asking if I had done my math assignments right to see if I got it. He would then repeat his lesson word for word, and I would say, okay, but did I do it right? Quote, and he did it again. I went from being one of the best in my class at math to almost failing. That was the year I realized how important having the right teacher is for me. It's that important for most people. I had a chem teacher in high school who would explain in excruciating detail every step in a problem, monsieur, except for the specific bit I had asked him for help with, which he would just kind of wave it in, and you do that. And then, I got a D both semesters, largely because I straight gave up on asking for help. My wife, when she asks if I need help and when I say yes, she just goes somewhere else. Something like this happened to me when my dad was in the hospital and my uncle and his drove me back home, and we have horses there that needed feeding still, so he asks if I needed help. Naturally, I say yes, I would like some help feeding the horses. Instead of getting out to help me, he asked me again if I need help feeding them, so again I say yes, I would like some help, but he again asks the same question again, so I said no, I don't need help to do it. So he left, leaving me to feed 6 horses in the dark. Like, why the hell did you even offer to help, if you never intended to actually help me? Fuck you. Seriously. Fuck that. What a dick. That's way worse than just not mentioning it and leaving. Thoughts and prayers. I didn't want to walk up a roll of toilet paper to my sister, so I hucked it from the bottom of stairs and hit the cat by accident. You have been accused of war criminal activity and have been sentenced to be shot. This comment. The Black Lives Matter protests asked for police reform, and the reaction of businesses and the government was things like Juneteenth becoming an official holiday, and no more Aunt Jemima. Cleveland Brown will now no longer be voiced by a white guy. That show is still running. Tweeting, thank you first responders, but not actively donating to the cause or doing really anything to help, especially if they do not follow the stay-at-home guidelines and don't wear a mask. Barking at somebody with ADHD to focus, and getting angry when they're not immediately cured of their disorder. Oh, you're depressed? Just cheer up. Anxious? Just calm down. No legs? Walk it off. Asthma? Just breath. Husband cheated. You just need a night out with your girlfriends. OCD? Just ignore it. Delusional? Just snap out of it. When my best friend told me that she had cancer and I cried like crazy because I didn't want to lose her, I contacted some of my friends for AOME help and most of them just said oof. People, especially young people, do not know how to deal with death. They say and do the wrong things. But most people actually do care. They just don't know how to express it. I've gotten so many different reactions confiding in others about my cancer. Almost 2 years later, some folks still can't accept it or handle encounters with me without crying or saying something really dumb. Give them the benefit of the doubt if you can. Oof, oof, and that's rough, buddy, are my least favorite things to see if I'm trying to vent to someone. Especially if it's over something really big. The neighbor's 17-year-old grandson brings a glass of water outdoors to his grandfather. Then the kid goes directly back indoors to watch TV as the elderly man goes back to mowing the family's expansive yard in the heat of the summer sun. So either the grandson is lazy or the grandfather is one of those old men that never want help. Or both lol. Or he wants it done the right way. No. You're not mowing the right way. Back when I was a wee lad, we'd get beaten if we didn't mow the lawn in the right way. You have to do it in a zigzag pattern. Old McKinley always said you had to do it in a zigzag pattern. One time he caught us mowing in circles and he went to get his gun. Good thing Betty calmed him down. She always made apple pie when we mowed the lawn. Good old Betty. She put brandy in the pie, she did. Best pie I've ever had, I tell you. Of course, she drank most of the brandy herself. Now back in my day brandy was expensive, but you could get it cheap if you knew a guy. Betty always sent us down to get brandy from Old Harry down by the railway. Then she gave us each a penny. Now a penny was worth a lot in my day, so we always did it when we had the chance. One time I dropped a penny in old McKinley's field and spent all day looking for it. Good times, I tell you. Plenty of old dudes like mowing lawns. My grandpa would kill me if I took away an opportunity to mow. Might not be something some people would like to hear, but I'm praying for you is a big one for me. I get the reasoning behind it as I grew up in a Christian home. But it was frequently said and rarely, if ever, supported by any real action. It's the cheapest way to get out of doing anything. Simply because once you say it, you've been a good person and no one can tell you otherwise. I mean, who in the church is gonna say screw you? That's not helping. When someone from corporate visits and says, I'm here to help. Companies using inclusive language thinking it'll stop whatever form of discrimination they're aiming at. The disability office at my uni has posters all over the place about inclusive language. Meanwhile, they straight up abandoned me my senior year because I wasn't in a wheelchair. Companies don't need to stop discrimination. They need to create the appearance that they're anti-discrimination. There's a difference. When people push their shopping carts to the cart return, but just kind of half-assedly push them in a big cluster instead of stacking them properly. So eventually there's a haphazard flock of unsecured carts taking up half the lane and the adjacent spaces. I never knew that shopping trolleys traveled in flocks. I always thought they were more like a gaggle or a herd. Someone coming to ask how they can help after I have already 1. Cleaned the house. 2. Cooked a several-course dinner. 3. Baked dessert. 4. Clean the dishes. I hate eating dinner knowing I have a sink full of dirty dishes. 5. Wrap the birthday gift. 6. Set the table. The last step is to round everyone up and tell them dinner is ready and to come grab a seat. I did steps 1 to 6. I think I can manage that last step solo too. My half-sister is famous for doing this. I spent hours doing Thanksgiving dinner one year with help from my mom. She had recently become disabled, so she couldn't do what she used to do. We normally did a pretty even split on effort for these things. I'm sweating balls. just finished putting finishing touches like the small side dishes onto the fully set table. All anyone needed to do was grab their drinks, sit at the table and start passing dishes around, and this bitch shows up after finishing her earlier dinner with her in-laws and says, "What do you want help with?" I looked her straight in the face and said to show up an hour and a half ago like you promised so I could get cleaned up before everyone fucking got here, but nothing now. Thanks. Now sit down and eat your second effort-free meal. I admire the fact that you called her out on it. What was her reaction? When I was younger, I would not say a word and spend the entire meal plotting my revenge and vowing not to let the next holiday or event go the same path. Now that I am older, I have gotten better at delegating, but sometimes it boils down to the lesser of two evils. 1. Do it all on my own. Or 2. Delegate but deal with passive aggressiveness. I.e., this is a spoon. Please use it to stir the sauce. No, there is no set number you need to stir. I was around 20 or 21 at the time. She would have been around 33. Her jaw hit the floor and did as I said, because I really had never done anything like that before. Over the decades since that happened, I finally have come to realize that she has basically always been useless and an instigator, so I finally cut her out of my life. I am just done with the drama associated with her and her family. But on the plus side, I can make a damn good holiday meal all on my own. My mom, while being able to work around her disability excellently, now has stepped back from doing big dinners. But I get to choose my tribe now. Best lesson I ever learned. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.